Relatives of servants weren't allowed in the mansion. That was the rule, posted silently in every corridor, whispered in every staff briefing. But today, Amara Johnson had no choice. Her little boy, Leo, barely 2, had no one else to care for him. Being a single mother meant juggling survival with responsibilities that never paused, not even for the wealthy man whose mansion she cleaned. And the man of the house, Gideon Sterling, had returned after a year abroad. Amara gripped Leo's tiny hand as they approached the grand iron gates. The polished stone path gleamed under the afternoon sun, reflecting the sleek glass and marble of the mansion like a promise she wasn't sure she deserved. Her heart thumped, each beat echoing with anxiety and guilt. Leo tugged gently at her skirt, his little voice soft but insistent. "Mommy, is he nice?" Amara smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. "We'll see, baby. Just stay close to me." She knew the rule. No visitors, not even relatives. And yet, here she was, carrying her son in her arms like a secret she hoped no one would notice. She had rehearsed every explanation, every excuse, but nothing could prepare her for what waited inside. The front door opened before she could knock. Gideon Sterling stood there, taller than memory allowed, his tailored navy suit crisp, his hair touched by streaks of silver at the temples. He looked different, older, straighter. His sharp blue eyes scanned her, lingering on the slight tremor in her hands. "Amara," he said, his voice calm but carrying authority. "I wasn't expecting anyone today," she swallowed, keeping Leo close. "Sir, I'm sorry. I usually don't—" "You don't bring children," he finished for her, eyes flicking toward Leo. The boy clung to her shoulder, gazing up at Gideon with innocent curiosity. "Ah." Gideon's gaze softened, almost imperceptibly, as if he recognized something in the child that reminded him of himself. "But today, it seems the rules bend." Amara felt her heart leap. Maybe he wasn't as rigid as the rumors suggested. She hoped. Gideon stepped aside, letting them enter the mansion. The interior was everything the city's magazines boasted about. Marble floors, chandeliers dripping like frozen waterfalls, corridors that stretched endlessly, walls lined with expensive art that seemed to judge every footstep. Leo's eyes widened. "Wow," he whispered, gripping her blouse. Amara smiled nervously. "Yes, it is." Gideon motioned toward the study. "I have meetings today. You can leave him in the playroom. Staff will take care of him. He's—" Amara hesitated. "I need to stay close, sir. I have no one else today." Gideon studied her, a subtle frown creasing his forehead. Then, after a beat that felt like eternity, he nodded. "Very well. But keep him out of trouble." Leo's small hand slipped from hers, and before she could react, he toddled toward the study. Amara gasped. "Leo, wait!" Gideon didn't move. The boy stopped just short of his desk, curiosity lighting his chubby face. Gideon's expression remained neutral, but the corner of his mouth twitched, betraying a hint of amusement. "You're bold," Gideon said softly, leaning back against the polished mahogany desk. "What's your name?" "Leo," the boy said, pointing at a small globe on the desk. Gideon chuckled, a sound Amara hadn't expected. "Leo. That suits you." Amara rushed forward, scooping him up, her cheeks burning. "I'm so sorry, sir. I don't know how he—" Gideon waved her off. "It's fine, really. He's curious. Like all children." His gaze softened again, lingering on Leo. "He's fearless, isn't he?" Amara nodded, uncertain. She had seen how Gideon Sterling could intimidate even the most confident of adults. Yet Leo had somehow charmed the air around him. The rest of the day was a blur. Meetings stretched on, assistants whispered in the corners, but Gideon's attention occasionally flicked toward the boy, and every time, Amara caught a glimpse of something she hadn't seen before. Gentleness, perhaps even warmth. By evening, Amara was exhausted. She sat on the grand staircase, rocking Leo in her arms as he drifted to sleep, his soft snores filling the empty hallways. Gideon approached quietly, his steps careful on the marble floor. "He sleeps well," he said. "Yes," Amara whispered, trying not to startle. "He hasn't had a full day in weeks." Gideon nodded, his gaze flicking toward the window where the city lights glimmered like scattered jewels. I can see why you worry about him, Amara blinked. I just want to do right by him. I'm alone in this. Gideon's expression softened. You're doing better than most. You've raised a brave little boy. Amara's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly blinked them away. Thank you, sir. That means a lot. For the first time, Gideon spoke with ease, almost like he was sharing a secret rather than issuing commands. Leo reminds me of someone I knew long ago. A nephew, perhaps. Or a child I never had. He has that same spark in his eyes. Amara's heart skipped a beat. Could he really see her boy? Or was it just the billionaire's perception of innocence? Dinner was served quietly, the household staff moving with seamless efficiency. Gideon ate with one hand while reviewing papers, yet he occasionally glanced toward Leo, who sat perched in a high chair nearby, babbling softly. When the last plate was cleared, Gideon stood and moved toward his study. Amara, would you bring him here for a moment? Her stomach tightened. Sir? He nodded toward the chair across from his desk. I'd like to observe, just for a few minutes. Amara hesitated but complied, setting Leo down gently. The boy toddled toward Gideon, who extended a hand. Leo grasped it instinctively, smiling. You're a brave one, Gideon said, his voice warmer than she expected. Do you like adventures? Leo nodded eagerly. Amara watched silently, her heart full. Maybe today wasn't just about bending rules. Maybe something else, something unexpected, was beginning. The next morning, Amara arrived early, Leo in tow, her nerves taut. She hadn't slept well. The brief interaction yesterday lingered in her mind. Gideon's gaze, the gentle smile he'd offered Leo, the unspoken understanding she hadn't anticipated. The mansion's corridors were quiet. Staff moved silently, cleaning and preparing for the day, but today every glance seemed to carry curiosity. Amara kept Leo close, whispering instructions and stories to keep him occupied. Gideon appeared without announcement, standing near the staircase, arms crossed. Good morning, he said, voice measured. Morning, sir, Amara replied, bowing slightly. Leo waved, giggling. He crouched to the boy's level. Morning, Leo. Sleep well? Leo nodded. Dreamed about a dragon. Gideon's chuckle was quiet but genuine. A brave dragon, I hope? Yes, Leo shouted, clapping his hands. Amara's chest swelled. Something was shifting. Barriers were falling, and Gideon seemed human. Throughout the day, Amara worked as usual, but Gideon found reasons to check on Leo. He offered small gestures, a toy, a story, an approving glance that made the boy beam. Slowly, the mansion no longer felt like a cage. It was a place where tiny sparks of connection could grow. By evening, Gideon approached Amara privately. You've raised a remarkable boy, Leo. Has spirit. Thank you, sir, she whispered. I try, he hesitated. He deserves guidance. And so do you. If you ever need help, anything at all, you can ask me. Amara's eyes widened. Sir, I couldn't. You've already done more than you know. Consider this a start. Weeks passed. Gideon's attitude softened. Rules remained, but there was flexibility, subtle and deliberate. Leo grew accustomed to the mansion's rhythm, his laughter filling rooms that had long been silent. Amara noticed the subtle changes, the way Gideon offered her small comforts, how he listened when she spoke, how he seemed to understand the weight she carried as a single mother. One rainy evening, Leo toddled into Gideon's study again, holding a crumpled drawing of the mansion. Look, he shouted. Gideon smiled, kneeling to Leo's level. This is amazing. You've captured every detail. Amara entered quietly, holding a tray of tea. Gideon looked up, smiling softly. Would you like to see? He asked her. She nodded, heart pounding. In that moment, she realized the mansion, once intimidating, almost hostile, had become a place of warmth, acceptance, and fragile hope. Months passed. Trust grew between the three of them. Gideon offered guidance to Leo, subtle lessons about courage and kindness, while Amara found herself slowly letting down walls she had built for survival. Leo thrived in this delicate ecosystem of care. Then, one evening, Gideon called Amara to the study. She entered, heart racing. Amara, he said softly, I want you to know, your courage has inspired me. The way you care for Leo, for yourself. It's remarkable, she swallowed. Sir, I just... Don't diminish it, he interrupted gently. You've brought life and laughter back into this house, and for that, I want to support you. Whatever you need. Amara's eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to say. Gideon smiled. Then don't. Just know this. You are seen, and your work, your sacrifices, they matter. That night, as she tucked Leo into bed, Amara reflected on how far they had come. From a single mother bending rules out of necessity, to a household slowly learning to bend for them, a new chapter had begun. One of hope, of connection, of family built not by blood alone, but by trust, care, and shared moments. Weeks later, Leo called Gideon Uncle Gideon, and the billionaire smiled, the title sticking naturally. Amara watched, heart full, realizing that life, unexpected, challenging, but rich in heart, had woven them together into something beautiful. The mansion, once a place of rules and distance, had become a home. And for Amara, for Leo, and even for Gideon, that was the greatest gift of all. The morning sun spilled through the tall windows of the mansion, spilling golden streaks across the polished marble floors. Amara Johnson tightened the strap of Leo's tiny backpack, holding his hand as they entered the grand hallway. The house seemed alive, as if sensing the arrival of its newest little resident. Normally, the mansion felt cold and intimidating, a world of strict rules and whispered etiquette. Today, though, with Leo toddling beside her, it felt different, alive with possibility. Gideon Sterling was already in the study when they arrived, standing near the enormous windows, hands clasped behind his back. Amara froze for a brief second, unsure how he would react, but his expression was calm, almost reflective. Even from a distance, she could sense a subtle warmth in the way he watched her and her son. "Good morning, Amara," he said quietly, his deep voice surprisingly gentle. "Leo's awake early." "Yes, sir," Amara replied, smiling faintly. "Excited for the day." She glanced down at Leo, who waved enthusiastically at Gideon, toddling toward the giant globe in the corner. Gideon crouched slightly, holding out his hand. "Hello again, Leo. Did you sleep well?" Leo's eyes sparkled. "I dreamt about dragons and castles." A smile tugged at Gideon's lips. "Dragons, huh? Brave ones, I hope?" "Yes." Leo clapped his little hands, his excitement filling the room. Amara laughed softly, amazed at the surreal scene. A billionaire, feared and distant to most, kneeling before her child with genuine warmth. It was the kind of moment that made her heart ache with gratitude and disbelief. The morning passed in an unusual calm. Amara moved quietly through the mansion, dusting, tidying, and ensuring the routines ran smoothly. Leo stayed close, exploring corners with the curiosity only a 2-year-old could have. Every time she glanced at him, she marveled at how much confidence he had gained in just a few days. Meanwhile, Gideon observed them from afar. Sometimes he offered small gestures of kindness, a soft cushion for Leo to sit on, a gentle smile, or a whispered encouragement. Each act, though simple, seemed to make the mansion itself feel warmer. By lunchtime, Gideon invited them to join him. The dining hall, with its towering ceilings and sparkling chandeliers, could have been intimidating, but today it felt welcoming. The sunlight poured through the tall windows, illuminating the room and the small figure of Leo, who bounced excitedly in his chair. "Sit," Gideon said, motioning toward the table. "You both need a break." Amara hesitated, but then allowed herself to sit. Leo climbed onto her lap, eyes wide at the shimmering table, and she felt a strange but comforting sense of normalcy. "May I?" Gideon asked, sliding a small plate toward Leo. "I made sure it's something you like." Leo's face lit up. "Yummy!" Amara's chest tightened. "Thank you, sir. This means a lot." Gideon nodded, sipping his water. "You both work hard every day. You deserve kindness, too." The simplicity of his words struck her deeply. In a world that often overlooked her, Gideon's recognition felt monumental. Leo ate happily, babbling about dragons and castles. And for a moment, The rigid lines of wealth and power seemed irrelevant. After lunch, Gideon excused himself, leaving Amara and Leo in the sunlit hall. She guided Leo through the corridors, explaining the mansion's intricate details, the antique clocks, the paintings, the hidden alcoves where sunlight fell just right. Leo's laughter echoed through the halls, a sound she had missed so desperately in her own life. Gideon appeared quietly, leaning against the doorway. "He's happy," he observed softly. Amara glanced at him. "Yes." "I think he's adjusting. You're doing an incredible job," Gideon added, voice sincere, raising him alone. "It's no small feat." Amara's eyes stung with emotion. "Thank you, sir. Some days I feel like I'm barely keeping up." "You're more than keeping up," he said firmly. "You're teaching him courage, kindness, and the kind of strength most people never learn." The words lingered in the air long after he walked away. Amara held Leo a little tighter, realizing how much she had survived and thrived without recognition. As the evening approached, a sudden storm swept over the city. Rain hammered against the large windows, wind rattling the panes, and the temperature dropped sharply. Amara was in the kitchen, tidying up from dinner, when a loud crash startled them all. Leo, frightened, ran into her arms, burying his face against her chest. Gideon appeared almost instantly, his expression serious, rushing to ensure the boy was safe. "Are you okay, Leo?" he asked, his voice low and soothing. "Yes. Yes," Leo stammered, trembling. Amara held him close, whispering calming words. Gideon knelt beside them, hand resting lightly on her shoulder. "It's okay. You're safe. Nothing will hurt you here." The storm raged outside, but inside, the three of them huddled together. In that small circle of warmth, Amara realized something extraordinary. A bond was forming between them, born not from obligation, but from mutual respect and care. The following days were filled with quiet, beautiful moments. Gideon involved himself in Leo's routines, reading stories, showing him toys, and even playing small games. Amara watched, heart full, as her son laughed freely, his worries erased in the safety of the mansion. One afternoon, Gideon called Amara into his study. She entered cautiously, Leo clinging to her leg. "Amara," Gideon began, standing near his desk, "I want to thank you properly for everything. You've shown me what real courage looks like. I want to help you." Amara's breath caught. "Sir, I don't need charity." "It's not charity," he corrected gently. "It's acknowledgement. You've carried so much on your own. Let me help." Tears pricked her eyes. I don't know what to say." "Then don't say anything," he replied softly. "Just accept it." He handed her a small envelope. Inside was a check large enough to ease the burdens she had carried for years. Amara shook, overwhelmed by the gesture. I can't accept this." "You can," Gideon said firmly, yet with kindness. "You deserve it. You and Leo." Amara nodded slowly, realizing that life had given her a moment of grace, unexpected, but deserved. Weeks turned into months. Leo thrived in the mansion, making friends with the household staff and exploring its vast rooms with curiosity and joy. Amara gained confidence, feeling seen and respected, not just by Gideon, but by the household as a whole. Gideon, once distant and formidable, softened. He laughed at Amara's jokes, asked about her past, and slowly allowed her into a world she never thought she could belong to. One rainy afternoon, Leo tugged at Gideon's sleeve. "Uncle Gideon, can we play dragons?" Gideon laughed, kneeling to Leo's level. "Of course, little one. Lead the way." Amara watched, her heart full, as her son's laughter echoed through the mansion. What had begun as a challenge, a single mother bending the rules for her child, had blossomed into something extraordinary. A bond had formed, built on respect, kindness, and shared joy. That night, as Amara tucked Leo into bed, she whispered, "We're going to be okay, baby. You're safe, and we have people who care for us." Leo yawned, gripping her hand. "I love you, Mommy." "I love you too," she murmured, pressing a soft kiss to his forehead. Downstairs, Gideon paused outside the nursery, watching them. His heart, usually reserved, felt warmth he hadn't expected. He had witnessed something rare: love, resilience, and the bond that forms when people are seen, valued, and protected. In the days that followed, the mansion became a home. Amara and Leo were not just tolerated, they were welcomed, appreciated, and loved. Gideon, once a distant figure of power, had become a guardian, a friend, and perhaps, in quiet moments, family. The story that began with bending the rules for necessity ended in trust, laughter, and a future full of possibility. In that grand, elegant mansion filled with warmth and love, Amara, Leo, and Gideon found something rare: a heartwarming family forged not by blood alone, but by courage, connection, and the small, meaningful acts that change lives forever.